Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the next video of Industrial Revolution. Revolution means a sudden change of process, method or condition. Textile goods were produced by a large number of producers and who were controlled by traders. This was called putting out system. Here the trader was in full control. And in later stage the control of trade over the craftsmen increased, and this is called proto-industrialization. Then next we have guild system. Here only some farmers were allowed to learn weaving, and the guilds determined the prices and quality of products. And every occupation group had their own guild. Next is factory system. In about 1750, machines and steam power began to be increasingly used to produce goods, to move goods and people from one place to another. The production was done with the help of machines in large scale in factories. All facilities of production was owned and managed by individuals called capitalists. Workers and children were put to hardship, but later their condition was improved with long drawn struggles. In the factories, unskilled persons, women and children were employed to do work in factories. In the factories, children were forced to push the wagons loaded with coal from the mines to the point where horses or mules can haul them. Pushing wagon loads through water and steep slopes were tiresome for the children, and children used to work for more than 12 hours a day. And when they return home after the work, they feel so tired that they fall asleep even without eating. Thus, children were denied access to school and normal childhood activities. Since machine could be worked by unskilled workers, women and children were made to operate machines for fewer wages. They were forced to work for long hours, and if someone became tired and slowed down, the factory owners used whips to punish them. When new and more machines were introduced, many of these workers lost their job, as work could be completed with fewer people. And with long struggle, over the time the struggle and the conditions were improved. In the beginning, the workers demanded 8 to 10 hours of working day, higher wages and disallowing children under age of 14 to work in the factories. Sources of energy and industrial development. As we have seen, energy is needed to run machines in a factory. Energy is available from coal, electricity, petroleum, and so on. Initially, industries depended on the energy from coal and steam. Subsequently, they started using several other sources of energy like thermal and hydroelectricity, petroleum, natural gas, nuclear energy, and solar energy. The invention of steam engine boosted shipping industry. It also reduced the cost of transportation by one-third of cost of road transport. Yet people looked for better ways of transportation. The next big thing in the context of transport was adaptation of steam engine to locomotives. George Stephenson's locomotive pulled heavy loads along a 64-kilometer track from Liverpool to Manchester at a speed of 46 km per hour. And in 1840, John Loudon MacAdam devised a method of laying roads using broken stones. This created a hard surface, which was an important advancement in road construction. Within another decade, bitumen-based binding, which we see in our areas as tar roads, were built. This was further followed by the use of motor cars. In the early 20th century, aircraft was developed by Wright brothers, and today air transport is a major means of transport. Trade in industrial products. Industrial production increased so much that it was not possible to sell all the products in their own countries. The factory owners began to sell them in other countries too. Machine-made goods were cheap and durable. Hence, the demand for them increased all over the world. This gave a boost to the industries in England and other countries. However, the interesting thing about them is they did not have the raw material required for the production of these goods. For example, the cotton needed for producing cloth was grown in India and America. English traders purchased these raw materials from India and other countries and sold them to factory owners. Subsequently, the traders purchased the finished product and sold them in countries like India, America, etc. In order to serve the interest of the trade and industry, the Europeans sought to subjugate these countries. Other countries like France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Holland, and others conquered colonies for themselves in Asia, Africa, Australia, and America. Colonies are those countries whose resources are used for the benefit of another country. These European countries exploited the colonies in other continents and grew wealthy in the process. Industrial revolution led to gradual shift of people from villages to town. Industries and other urban activities gave people livelihood. As people moved to towns which were newly emerging, they settled down in makeshift houses and shelters, which were cramped and had little sanitation or other facilities. Accidents, disease, and epidemic were common. Most workers' residential areas lacked proper ventilation, health and sanitation facilities. Slums became common scenario in towns and cities, especially near the factories and mines. At the same time, distinct quarters came up for the rich and the powerful, which were well provided in terms of open spaces, sanitation, water supply, road, and other facilities. Slowly, people fought for the civic rights and the conditions of the workers' quarter also improved. Let's see the working conditions during the Industrial Revolution, then and now. Then the machines were just introduced and they have longer hours of work. There was no rest and no recreation. There was bad work environment, no bonus, no incentives, and very less salaries. And nowadays, in the modern factories, most modern machineries are used, and there is a fixed hours of work, there is rest and recreation, and there is a good work environment, decent salaries, bonus, and other incentives are given. Here, the nowadays the modern factory workers they can balance their work and life. Okay, thank you, children.